Gog and Magog are assembling on the fields of Armageddon. Or should we say Judeo-Christianity is facing off against Islam. The logic of Abrahamism is reaching its conclusion. All of the messianic nutcases have achieved their goal, triggering the apocalypse. Why do rational and logical people have to be dragged into the insanity of others? Why is the USA the puppet of Israel? Why is America allowing itself to be dragged into a devastating war? Is this sane behavior? Why is America's #1 foreign policy priority to preserve a Jewish nation surrounded by Islamic nations that despise it, and despise it even more given the events of the last year? If you were a rational person, where would you put the Jews so that they could feel safe? You definitely wouldn't put them in Israel, where the entire world around them is Islamic and doesn't want them there. How is that ever going to work out? It's not. It can only lead to war. This war that's erupting right now. This has been a long time coming. Since the Jews are westernized, they should be in the West, not in the Middle East. What Western country is most favorable to them? Well, probably the USA, and it has plenty of room. The Mormons have got an American state, Utah. Why not let the Jews have an American state too? Many Jews already live in the USA and are highly successful there. How do you rationally solve a problem like Israel? It's a nation that can never be at peace because the Palestinians want their land back. But the Jews can never leave Israel because they are the chosen people, and Israel was promised to them by the God who chose them. He chose them, it seems, for a permanent war. And all the rest of us had to get dragged into it. What is the real problem here, the real cause of all this horror? It's religion, it's Abrahamism, it's faith. There is no rational solution here because you cannot reason people out of positions they weren't reasoned into. Faith kills reason and logic. If the Jews were rational, they would leave Israel and go to a peaceful part of the world where they would be welcome. But they're people of faith, so they have to live in Israel, surrounded by hatred and enemies, and in a never-ending conflict from which there is no possible escape. Because the Muslims who surround them have just as much faith as they do, and there are far more of them. And one day they will command as much military force as Israel. And what then? This can only go one way. Any rational and logical person can see that. You can't beat the numbers. This is a simple numbers game, and the Jews are enormously outnumbered by active enemies in that part of the world. 1 + 1 still equals 2. It always will. How could humanity have a peaceful future? Only if it were rational and logical and could use reason and logic to solve its problems. No problems can be solved if insane beliefs are involved, mad doctrines for which people will kill others. Abrahamism is just one long set of lethal teachings, which in the last year have killed tens of thousands of people and put the whole world at risk. In Star Trek, that great visionary idea of what the human future could be like, people on a certain planet were almost destroyed by emotionalism, irrationalism, and religious mania. That planet was Vulcan, and the Vulcans had to learn to become rational and logical to cure their problems. Humanity is faced with the exact same problem: become rational and logical or be destroyed by deranged beliefs. If you are not an Abrahamist, all beliefs of Abrahamists are crazy. Why should we non-Abrahamists let these maniacs drag us all down with their mad beliefs about their mad God? The human race has suffered enough from the religious disease in our midst. There is no cure for religious madness, for Jerusalem syndrome. Isn't it time all rational and logical people grouped together to oppose totally destructive religious faiths? Why should people have a right to cultivate mad beliefs and brainwash future generations with those same mad beliefs? Poet Philip Larkin said, "They fuck you up, your mom and dad. They may not mean to, but they do. They fill you with the faults they had. And add some extra, just for you." Well, exactly the same thing can be said of religion. It takes crazy people, and makes them crazier. But we have a way out of the labyrinth: reason and logic. Isn't it time to do the rational and logical thing and consign faith and emotionalism to the primitive past? Let's have a Star Trek future, not a future based on ancient superstitions and delusions. Faith doesn't set you free. It makes you fight to the death over lunatic claims that are all demonstrably false. The creator of the universe did not enter into any covenant with any human tribe. Why would he? If he existed, that is, which he doesn't. What does exist is a hive god. And all of us are nodes of this god. Isn't it time we confronted this truth? Only when we realize that we are the ultimate message and meaning of the universe will we all come to our senses.